What most people don't realize about anybody who's very successful in something is that most of their life was pain, struggle, and then a small window in relation to the rest of their life of actually success. So if you look at a lot of people who are very successful, you will see that for the majority of their life, perhaps they were extremely poor. Maybe they were very ill. Maybe they were in jail. And they fought with that difficulty, those obstacles, maybe having to go from bankruptcy to success, maybe having to go from fame to not famous to fame again or whatever. And that life was not just the successful and happy forever after, right? As it never is with anything. If you look at lottery winners that win the crazy jackpots, then is their life just smiling ever after? No. Actually, on a study of lottery winners versus people who are in wheelchairs, the happiness of the people in the wheelchairs was actually in the study higher than the lottery winners. And that comes down to perspectives, gratitude, shifts in awareness, and those things, right? That all come into play. Now, the problem with the way we tend to view life is we view it as, that person is really famous now. They've got everything I want. Their life is great forever. Who cares what they went through? Yeah, but look at the portion of their life, right? If you looked at, say, for example, a young Mike Tyson at his prime, 21 years old, right? You would say, he's has everything, God, to be him. Yeah, but for the other 19 years before, yeah, it was very, very hard, right? And people wouldn't want that life. The same as so many stories. Now, not talking about success of celebrities, entrepreneurs, and athletes. Human lives in the more normal bracket goes through these too. Somebody may have been bullied at school, never had a boyfriend, then finally found a boyfriend, got a job that they liked, settled down, had some kids, and been at the happiest of their life. And that might have only come much later in life. I remember speaking to a woman from China. She was about 65 years old when I spoke to her. I said, how's your life? She said to me, my life is lived on gratitude of where I'm at, not wanting more. And I said, really? I said, that's your plan for life? And she said, yes. She said, I used to work in a business that I used to own, and it was stressful all day long, she said. And now I work in a company. I have a salary that pays the bills. I've got a lot of my mortgage paid off, and I'm very content. And I said, why was it so bad in the past that you're so content today in the way you describe it? Nothing wrong with being content today, but the way she was describing it, I imagine the past was bad. She said, my husband was ill for 15 years. She said, I used to get up every day with about 4 or 5 hours sleep, go to the hospital, see him every day and run the business. She said everything was just making ends meet and keeping him going. And she said there was not much pleasure. It was just a roll of one habit after another, just in the rat race. And it was very hard. She said, I used to go to bed with the clothes on for the next day, get all ready, tuck myself into bed with the clothes on for the next day, and then get up and straight away go into the office. And I said, I can see that. And I said, how do you feel now? I said, you're not married, are you? And she said, no, I'm not married. She said, but I'm the most content. She said, because I can travel where I want, I can do what I want. And she said, I love my husband to bits, but the life that I have now, I have a freedom and I haven't got the stress and I'm in a more comfortable position. And she said, it's so miles from where I was. Now, if you look at, say, my own life with OCD, I suffered very badly from OCD. A large portion of my life was chronic severe OCD. And it went like this for me. It was always the bad news, right? It was like you go through a series of mental doors in your life, doors of probability. And the door that I went through was having OCD. I could have just had mild OCD and been like a lot of people that you meet. They're like, yeah, I had some intrusive thoughts once, stopped interacting with them and off I went. That certainly wasn't me. I could have had just a few panic attacks and then off I went, like many people of my age at that time. and just moved on. And people around me all kept saying, oh yeah, I had panic attacks, moved on. No, that wasn't me. Oh, I have chronic OCD. Okay, I could have had chronic OCD that wasn't super disabling. No, that wasn't me. It was the most disabling. Okay, I could have had chronic OCD without all the physical anxiety, like I see a lot of people with. No, that wasn't me. Severe, severe physical anxiety, more than most people I work with, right? Oh, so severe physical anxiety, OCD chronic, yeah, and not responding to anything. Just completely latched on to the thing in the past, guilt, anxiety, not budging, real event, locked on. That's it. That was my lot. And everything I did to get better for years, went around the world to different specialists for years, didn't get better. It was always, I just began to think, look, anything that I bloody get is going to be the thing that just stays locked and never goes. Okay? And so I just got into a series of thinking like, I'll always have the worst, most resistant thing. Every physical anxiety symptom I had, they would turn around to me and go, yeah, it should be responding by now. Usually if you do this, that, and the other, it should. And the same with all the therapy for the OCD, because obviously it was the sort of mainstream. Have you done exposures? Exposures are an essential part of recovery, often, but by no means all. And so I was constantly, no, it's yes, I'm still guilty all the time. Oh, you just got to leave it be there. You know, you're still trying to fight it too much. Yeah, but I can't stop fighting it. I've got mental rumination that will not stop. It's automatic. It just continues in my head. I'm convinced I did something in the past. Nothing makes me feel any less convinced. So my whole life is just guilt. Every experience, every holiday, every relationship, guilt, 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 guilt. Wake up, guilt. Go to bed, guilt. My whole fucking life is guilt. Yeah? And not just guilt 0%, guilt 100%. I'm standing on the, about to get a death sentence, right? Everything like that, all the way. If I got stomach problems, acid reflux, the worst acid reflux. Had it where it gave me esophagitis, I couldn't swallow food, then dysphagia, then going into the specialist gastro clinics. Yeah, Rob, we need to put a balloon down your throat to expand it. Fuck all that, I used to think, right? I used to feel that. Everything was. And there was points where I just came home, I was just like, you know what? And I explained exactly how I felt. I was literally, in my head, I was just like, fuck my life, fuck this. This is just a nightmare. Everything is worst. How could I have this stomach thing? Everyone else just took a Meprazole and it went. For me, worst, 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 worst all the time, right? But I recovered. I'm sitting here today, recovered. No chronic anxiety, no chronic guilt, no mental attacks going on left, right, and center, compulsions. Gone. Now, when people see me today, they think, oh, he probably wasn't as bad as me. Maybe it's just a lucky case. No, the brain only responds to change in perspective. Those changes brought about the long-term change. So when people look at me, they'll say, oh my God, it's so good for him now. He's all right. Well, the majority of my life has been mental suffering. Think about that. The majority. Oh, but it's all right for him now. He runs a large OCD organization. He's doing what he loves and he's completely at peace. You think any of that was easy? You imagine what it was like trying to build the work that I do today, right? Having to change the thinking, having to work with OCD, that tens of thousands of people, having to demonstrate bit by bit in thousands of videos, everything to recover. Hard. There's a reason why even Albert Ellis said he didn't like working with OCD patients, because he said they are so hard to deal with. And people say, but why? Why is it so hard? They're stuck, they're anxious. I'll explain to you exactly why it's hard. Because when you're stuck, when I was stuck, what do you want? Reassurance and an answer. So you get 1,000 messages from one person just when they're stuck on one thing. Say you have an appointment at 5 p.m. People arrive up at 10 seconds past 5. Are you there? You there? You there? You there? You there? You there? Because they're desperate to get rid of anxiety, right? That is the reality of it. I have spoken to some of the top anxiety specialists in the world about working with OCD. And they often say, oh, I don't like to take on too many OCD people because it's like dealing with 10, right? And I remember I was speaking to one specialist years ago, and she said to me, she said, you don't realize how angry people with OCD can get. because they're so anxious, they're so frustrated, they can get very angry. Very. So you're dealing with angry and anxious all at the same time from all over the world, all the time, loads of people. And that is how we change OCD, because we change their state, we change their perception, we change their suffering so that they're not suffering. And bit by bit by bit, more people that recover, OCD changes, and that's the mission. It was never going to be easy. Never going to be easy. But I love it. I'm so passionate about it. I do it all the time, these 7 days a week with a team. And it's doing what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to see people stuck anymore with OCD, suffering all the time, when I knew that they could recover, but the world didn't understand it. So that's why I do what I do. But it's challenging. Now, why do I say that? Because otherwise, people hold this view. Oh, it's all right for you. It's easy. It's da. But the majority was suffering and hard work, right? Success in anything, happiness is a byproduct of lots of difficulty. You see people get married, you think, oh my God, she got married, she's 30 years old. She might have been wanting to get married all her life and gone on hundreds of online dates and only just met her partner. But people don't think that. They think, oh, that was easy for them. Look, they just matched. Oh, that was easy for them. Every human is finding things difficult, right? So that's it. Look, today, I don't really find things super difficult because I've spent years of habit training with all the things that I do. So things are like, okay, that's an obstacle, let's overcome that, and we work through those things, right? But I can have obstacles that are very difficult. Say I've got bone cancer right now, and I was having to go in and out of hospital. That wouldn't be easy. Loads of tests, loads of uncomfortable tests, loads of weird appointment times. You know, I've spoken to a lot of people with cancer, and they often say, like, the regimented routine around it is the thing that's tiring. You need to drink this water now, you need to go to the toilet now, you need to be at this appointment, you need to stay here. Like recently, only about, 2 months ago, I got diagnosed with severe sleep apnea. I have to sleep with a CPAP. Now, I'm fit, healthy, good. Like, if you saw me, I'm like not what people with sleep apnea tend to look like. People with sleep apnea tend to be obese, and that tends to make the throat restricted, which causes sleep apnea. But I have sleep apnea that's also that is one of the rarer cases where it's in someone who's not obese, where it's just something genetic, maybe neurological, maybe because I was suffering with OCD for so many years, all that stress and everything changed something in the brain that gave me a predisposition to a neurological change, which then brought along sleep apnea. Possible. But when I was in a hospital for 2 days having a sleep study and so on, and they're wiring you up, taking your blood pressure all through the day and night, all that stuff, and you're restricted. There's no look, I was lucky enough to be in a nice hospital, right? But still, it's like this. You wake up, they didn't have any spare beds, right? So I had to share, they didn't have any spare rooms, right? So so that I could have a room to myself. So I shared it with a guy who was 90, who had a heart problem, because I was in a cardiology ward, because when I got diagnosed with sleep apnea, they thought that there might have been a problem with my heart. That's why the breathing was happening, stopping breathing in the night. And I was thought to myself, because I didn't expect to suddenly get sleep apnea, I thought to myself, like, why do I wake up like a bit of a headache and shortness of breath? I thought, am I anxious about something again? And so I was like, nah, I must just be a bit stressed or something, right? But then when I had all the tests, and they're like, no, you've got severe sleep apnea. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. Like, anxiety and stress ain't causing severe sleep apnea. It's two different things. It's like saying, does anxiety and stress cause a broken leg? No. And I was sharing this room with a guy who was 90 who had a problem with his heart, obviously. He was going in for heart surgery. And so he was in the bed next to me. And I was laying in the bed, and the bed was obviously in the cardiology unit, which people die in, with heart problems. So they got all the oxygen behind you and all the different things. And I was thinking, people die in this bed. And I was looking up at the ceiling, and I was thinking, yeah, I can see that. And that's probably where I'm going to die, in this bed in the future, or in one of these beds. And I like, they give you meals, and then you get up, walk down the corridor, up and down the corridor in between in gaps, right? And stuff like that. And but you don't see much outside. Like, there was a slight bit that was outside, but not really, right? And because it was like the back of the hospital. And so I just thought to myself, yeah, if you were in here for months, like, you're not seeing any outdoors. And like, even in 2 days, I felt muscles get weaker, my back start hurting more. And I thought, fuck, I want to get out of here. And I thought, I don't want to be in this sort of prison-like place anymore. I want to get the CPAP machine for sleep apnea. I want to move with things. And so they said to me, like, yeah, you need a sleep CPAP. That's that machine that you sleep with. And she's like, loads of people don't use it though, and that's not good because it's dangerous because it increases your risk of a heart attack or stroke by like 600%. And so I was like, yeah, well, I'll use the CPAP. And then I went to the dentist because they were going to fit me originally for this mouth guard that also helps with sleep apnea. That's what Dana White and Joe Rogan, as much as I don't watch those podcasts, they both use that mouth guard. But I've got severe sleep apnea, not the mild one, the medium one or mild. So I can't use the mouth guard, right? Again, my mind went back to the days of OCD. I had to have the whole worst one again, didn't I, right? So your mind does that, right? And so then they were like, yeah, we can't fit you for the mouth guard. You need to have the CPAP. So I was like, all right. And I used it within 1 or 2 days, and then I use it every day. And that's it. I don't complain about it. I don't whine about it. It's just my lot, yeah? It's just it. I remember about 3 years ago, I fell off my bike, and I like really badly damaged my elbow, where it was nearly broken, but it was pretty close to it. It was some tendon or something in the elbow. And I was in a cast for it because I couldn't even move it. And they put it in a cast originally because they thought it was broken. And like within about 12 hours, people said to me like, Rob, you are not even complaining about that at all. You're not even getting angry about that, continuously nothing. Like, I'd be fucking annoyed. You're on your holiday right now, and that's happened. I said, what am I going to do? What's it going to do? Is that going to help it? Is that going to heal it? No. Just sat there peacefully and waited for the time to pass till it got better, right? And then got on with other things. And that's my attitude. That's my attitude on everything. Like, if I got cancer, God forbid, right? What are you going to do? You've got to just go to the chemo, go to the radio, go home, eat, sleep, chemo, radio, so eat, sleep. No amount of shouting is going to do anything. No amount of complaining, why this? There's that other idea. Oh, but I have OCD. That means I don't get anything else. Bullshit. You can get anything else. People with OCD come in with cancer. We see that a lot, right? Not a lot. We see it. We see a reasonable amount. Doesn't mean, oh my God, if I'm scared cancer, I'm going to get cancer. Doesn't mean that at all, right? But we see it. You can get other things. Rare. Like, do I think right now I've got cancer or I'm likely to get cancer in the next year? No, it's pretty unlikely, right? But I could. And then what am I going to have to do if I get it? I have to deal with it. No amount of shouting, no amount of being upset about it. Has to just go on. Why do I know that? Because it had to with OCD. Years of that. Years of mentally whining in my head, complaining, why me, why this, and all the other things. Getting tinnitus. I still got tinnitus today. All those things. Oh my God. If only I didn't get this. Doesn't bother me. I never think of tinnitus. I never even notice it because I don't listen to it and I don't fear it. I used to wear earplugs when I went to every nightclub and bar because of the tinnitus. Every nightclub bar, oh my God, once it gets worse. And one day I went, fuck it. I'm not wearing earplugs to bars and clubs. I'm going to clubs even if it gets worse, fuck it. And then that attitude is what changed my life. That attitude of, I'm going to be dead anyway in the future. I'm going out, living my life how I want to live it in every area. Everything I do, whether it's business, we'll do it to the max and really go for it to go for our mission of changing OCD. Whether it's working out in the gym, super measured and slowly and writing everything down with a pen. We're going in there working out hard, so that we're working out harder than everyone else we see in there, and then we go out feeling like we really gave it a shot, right? That doesn't mean stupidly and getting injuries like I did in the past, but it means an attitude of you're going out in a coffin. So you're going to really enjoy this ride and you're going to really go for it and make it a wow life, right? Because that's what I want, because the life's short, right? And that's the way I've already done it. And that's the way I've always done it, right? And if I didn't do that, it wouldn't be like that, right? And people often say to me like things like, yeah, but it's all right for you now because of this, that, and the other. I say, you don't know what all right for you now means. All right, if you lived in the day of my life just on the habits on a weekly basis, you wouldn't want it because you wouldn't be used to it, right? Because it takes a time to adapt to it. It's like anything. It's like, say, for example, I went to go and live in the life of Elon Musk for the day, yeah? What would that shift feel like? Be very difficult, right? All the mega decisions that have to be made every hour, all the huge risks that has to be made, and the schedule packed out all the time, every single minute of the day. I'm sure it would be very different. The same as being president, prime minister, whatever, right? Or the same as being someone in hospital with late stage cancer in the hard or terminal cancer, right? Imagine what that would be like if you were just thrust into that in 1 second, right? I thought that when I had the broken with the elbow, yeah, and I thought, you can't even wash yourself. It's difficult to go to the toilet. You can't go to the gym, you can't do this, right? And that's nothing compared to what people have. People have car crashes, break all major bones, and then are like literally in a whole body almost cast, right? You can't scratch yourself, you can't go to the toilet, you can't have sex, you can't feed yourself, right? That level of restriction. Oh, my God. And then think about people who've been beaten up in a jail and they've got that in a cheap, crap, horrible jail, right? Yeah, right? Imagine that happening, yeah? You go in that jail in some part of the world which is like regarded as one of the worst jails, and the doctor's like pulling out a syringe that's not been properly used, and then to save money they've bought the cheapest equipment forever because they've had to, and then suddenly you're in that place and you've got all the broken stuff and you're in hospital, right? And you're going back out in the jail after you recover and might have it all done again. Fuck, right? Think of those things. I saw a guy, I was in Barcelona about 4 months ago. I was with my girlfriend and we were walking down the street. It was a beautiful night. And she said to me, it's so beautiful here. We were walking down a lovely street. We'd just gone to have some tapas, some wine. We're walking home. The sun was just setting. I mean, Barcelona is my favorite city in the world. Such a magical, happy place, but also magical, happy with also horror, because it's also got huge drug addiction there and terrible homelessness and all these things, right? So you see that, and that also is there. And I was going down the street, and there was a lot of homeless people lying on the street, and there was one guy, and he was like in a smart shirt, his glasses on, his trousers on, but he was homeless. And he was sitting on a cardboard and he had all his documents out and graphs and everything. And I looked at him and he was like tallying everything up and working really hard. And I just stopped and I looked at it. And you could see that he was someone who'd been in like business of some sort. He'd gone bankrupt, some other mental health or health problems. And he'd end up on the street and he was trying to make his way back. You could see he was like putting everything together for a legal case or something. And you look at that and then you think, wow, look at the struggle there, right? Now, when he comes back, say he does come back from that, which is very hard, and he makes a lot of money, he raises a family, everything, people will say to him, yeah, really good, you're doing well now, whatever, but not knowing that. And like when you see that, and he was sleeping on sort of cardboard in a very damaged sleeping bag thing, and he was quite old, and you were looking at that and you're thinking, that's hard, very, very hard. People are always going to say that to you. When you recover and you get better, do you know what people are going to say? Oh, I had that kind of OCD. Oh, I had that kind of anxiety. Yeah, okay, don't go on about your problems anymore. They don't know the struggle. When I recovered from OCD, it felt like I'd run an ultramarathon, 10 ultramarathons. If you'd said to me, listen, you can recover from OCD today, but sign this piece of paper, you're running 10 ultramarathons in next year, right? You've got 1 year to train for them. I'd have signed it in 2 seconds. I would have lost an arm in 2 seconds to recover from OCD. People will say that, really? Would you have done that? Yeah, I would have done that because that's how bad it was. However, having met people over the years that have lost arms and seen the suffering and the difficulty and how hard their life is with all these different things, there's so many elements you don't know about all individual suffering, right? If you've got no arm, going to the toilet, very difficult. Getting out of bed, your movement's different. Gym, working out, talking to someone, how you sit down, everything's different, right? The level of difficulty that comes with all different things, people aren't aware of until they're in it. Like Michael J. Fox says, the real experts of Parkinson's are the ones who are in it, right? But not completely, obviously. If you're the average Parkinson's person who's not got the knowledge of an expert in Parkinson's, genuinely, because they haven't spent the years studying Parkinson's or learning about and reading about Parkinson's. But they have lots of insight into it, right? Expertise comes from a sort of a dedication to understanding and learning something for many, many years. But the suffering, the unique suffering, can't be experienced without having it. You don't know, like, if someone went and did like a PhD on OCD, right? And tried every single thing to do to learn about OCD, but they never lived in my head and had this level of chronic severe OCD, they wouldn't have the insight by miles. You just wouldn't be able to see how it locks and loops and grips and turns up the nervous. You wouldn't see it. You wouldn't feel it. You've got to feel that to live that. You have to experience that to live and breathe that. You have to You have to know how every mental door is locked off in your head and that you feel like there's no way out, right? If I didn't know that, and if I couldn't get people recovered, this channel wouldn't be the size it is. And you can't, and you also, no one ever comes in that sort of stumps me. Like, no one ever comes in and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do with them. Oh, okay, that's a case where I can always see exactly where the person's stuck. We've got to come at it from multiple angles to change those perspectives, behaviors, and so on to get them unstuck. So yeah, that is the journey. Those are the goals. You're trying to recover. You're trying to get better now. Persistence, practice, and time. Persistence, practice, and time. I'll say that again. Persistence, that means you carry on no matter what. Practice, you sharpen your knife, you keep going. Sharpen your tools, you keep going. Time, you let time pass, because then you get the compound interest of growth, where you're learning, your knowledge improves, your habits improve, your behaviors improve, and bit by bit by bit, you recover from OCD. That's the plan. That's your goal. You can do it. You can do it. But you've got to really want it. And you do really want it. Why? Because you've been stuck for so long and you felt all that mental pain and you want it different. And it's so damn worth it. So go for it. Give it your best. We're here to help you. Just send an email to us at info@ocdrecovery.com. We'll get back to you today. No long wait times. We're not like the bloody mental health hospitals that I sprang up at the time, where I would message and they'd be like, oh, the receptionist's away. We'll call you in 2 weeks. Right? Yeah. Which I understand, they're busy. I completely understand they're busy, and I completely understand the difficulties that come with managing a lot of people with OCD. But like, leaving me waiting for 2 weeks, no messages, no nothing. I used to think, nah, this is too long, yeah. And like, and so when I was just about to say that, there's so many bloody ebooks that I bought online, which were like, just play a guitar, keep yourself distracted, and then you can recover. Complete junk, wouldn't work at all, right? The hospital is trying to get you better because they're trying to do what they do. They just don't know how to get you better fully from OCD because the knowledge is it isn't there yet in the system. But they have a lot of tools that help in lots of ways. But in terms of full recovery, I rarely see cases where people have just gone in and done like a mindfulness workshop at a psychiatric hospital for like a month, being inpatient, and then come out and not have a problem again, because the tools are too loose, the tools are too light, and that's just a fact of reality. It's not criticism, it's just a fact of reality. I haven't seen it, right? But yeah, the bloody waiting lists that used to drive me mental. You'd ring up, oh, gee, we'll contact you. You're right in 7 months. No, I can barely make it through a day as it is. I remember actually, but having some great support on things like Samaritans and stuff, where I called them and I was like, oh my God, it's morphed. I can't handle this much more. And I'd call them, very understanding, caring people, really giving their all. And, you know, very grateful for those people at the time, what they did. And very grateful for the people around at the time that did offer lots of help and support in the early days. But, and here's the but, those phone lines, it was always like just speaking to a friend or just speaking to my mum, right? There was no depth. I came off the calls, oh, thanks for listening. And then it was back to right into the doom. So, yeah, we're here. We have a toolkit to get under it. We get in the corner. We're fighting that fight with you. And yeah, if you want to change your life with OCD, we're there in the corner and we'll go for it. And we're in your corner 100%. And if you want to start before the new year, get in contact, because we've barely got any slots going into January, but we'll try our best to get you in. So yeah, I wish you all the best on your recovery journey. Persistence, practice, and time.